This is ATL Day Ones, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. And it starts now.
Woo! Welcome into ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra. That coffee AM got me going, T. I don't know about you, but we'll tell y'all about that a little bit later on the show. But oh man, I am wide awake around here. It is a $2 Tuesday. I don't know. I still haven't quite figured out what we're paying $2 for, T. But I'm actually glad that you're here today, and I'm also glad that you are here, the listener, the viewer, and thank you for making us your first listen and view of the day. And remember, we're free and available wherever you download your podcast. And wherever you download your podcast, make sure you leave us a 5-star review, because anything else less than that is unacceptable, because we are great. That's just how we get down. All right. So, Ronald Acuna didn't do his thing last night. And I had some issues, T, with this baseball home run derby broadcast. I got some issues. We're going to talk about that. And as far as the Atlanta Falcons, Steve Weiss was popping off about Tyler Allgeier. We'll talk about whether or not, that's our guy, by the way, whether or not he was right about what's going on with Tyler Allgeier and his role in the Falcons offense. And last but not least, and for the culture, Kyle Pitts got issues with Madden. We'll talk about, does he have a point or not? All of that coming up. But before we get to all of that, like I said, Ronald Acuna bowed out in the first round against Pete Alonso, of all people. Like, if you're going to lose to somebody, don't lose to anybody that has that New York Mets uniform on. Golly, T, it was a quick exit, for Ronald Acuna last night. It just seemed like he just wasn't quite right, and that's kind of how we've been feeling about him as far as this in the past maybe 25 games or so. He just hasn't been right.
But the thing is, he had 19 home runs. Alonso had 20. That was the same clip that they had in 2019 when he was fine. So right. I feel like the only difference is he met up with his nemesis in the first round versus the semifinals. So when I saw the matchups, when I saw 2 and 7, I was like, yeah, he's probably not going to get out of the opening round, just because of how Pete hits and how he can hit at a clip. And of course, in that situation, probably just needed to get one over in order to move on to the next round. But yeah, to me, it was like we said a couple days ago, I'm not overly concerned about Ronald Acuna Jr. and where he is physically. I still say I believe it's more mental than anything. So yeah, when I saw that matchup, I was like, ooh, it's going to be tough sledding for you, boy.
No doubt about it. And one thing that was tough sledding for me watching this doggone home run derby was the analytics of the bats and home run derbies. It just got on my nerves. I'm just sitting up here like, this is not that situation. Yeah. You're sitting up here saying, well, how much does that bat weigh? And then even Carl Ravage even got to the point where he was just like, so what does that mean? And I'm sitting up here like, yes. What does that mean? And why does that matter that his bat weighs 31 ounces, or this bat is 34 inches long, or this bat is 32 ounces long?
This company manufactured it.
Wow. Right. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. Talk about the home run derby. Have random conversations about each player. Give me some quirky stuff. This is supposed to be light and fun, and you up here getting all serious. Every time I hear numbers, I'm like, serious. I'm like, yeah. I'm just like, man, that just hurt me, T. I don't know about you, but that thing, it just got on my nerves at that point. I'm just like, dude, shut up.
You had so much fun with that. I mean, you had 3 contestants out of the NL East. A division that is highly contested. That could have been one storyline for you. I mean, I'm sure there were others, but that one comes to mind. And I'm just thinking to myself, yeah, they really blew it. In fact, I'll be honest. Once Ronald Acuna Jr. was ousted, I tapped out. Because it was
I don't blame you.
I just was like, I can't take this. I hope we get better tonight.
We actually hope you tap in to the folks over at Dave T. Tell everybody about what's going on with Dave and how they've been making sure they're checking out Locked On Sports Atlanta. Yes, check out some of our friends over there, Dave.
Yes, keep it 100. We've all been in a situation at some point in our lives when we were little tight on cash. Maybe you could only afford to put a few gallons of gas in that tank. We know that's real these days, right? And you're wondering how you're actually going to afford to maybe get a gift if you're invited to a shower. Well, that's where Dave can help. A friend of mine used to always say there is no stress like financial stress. And that's facts. It's facts. Dave can help you get out of that pinch when you really need it. And listen, hindsight is 2020. You certainly can't change the past. But what if you could maybe get a little help from your future self? Maybe you'd ask to borrow a little cash. Now you can with Dave. Dave is a banking app that can help you get up to $500 instantly with extra cash. You can finally tackle those expenses that have been stressing you out without any hangups. There's no interest and no credit checks needed. Millions of people have already downloaded the Dave app to get the financial relief they need with extra cash. So if you're in a pinch, like I know some people are right now, you need some extra help, download Dave and think of it as a helping hand from the future you. Download the Dave app from the App Store right now. That's DAVE. Sign up for an extra cash account and get up to $500 instantly. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. Instant transfer fees apply. Banking provided by Evolve. Member FDIC. And again, your future you will thank you.
No doubt about it. And as far as speaking of what's the future, and tonight, Steve, the All-Star game is going down, and we all know that the Braves, they have 5 guys who will be there. We got Ronald Acuna, Dansby Swanson, Austin Riley, William Contreras, and Travis d'Arnaud. Out of all of these guys, who do you think has the best chance to maybe potentially get that MVP?
I'm going to go with Austin Riley. I'm going to go with the hot hand, the current.
I'm with you on that one.
Yes. And sometimes that reserve, if you will, for an all-star game has something to prove, a little chip on the shoulder about not being selected outright. So I would not be surprised. Of course, it would be a welcome to Braves country because they haven't seen an all-star MVP since Brian McCann back in 2011. I'm like, gosh, it's been over a decade since a Brave won MVP. So yeah, I'm just going to hopefully tip our hats. Hopefully we'll all tip our hats later to Austin Riley as MVP.
You're talking about 27 home runs before the break. That is absolutely ridiculous. He's been just absolutely just killing it on all aspects, from specifically at the plate. And I was actually really excited for him when he got the call to go in saying that he's going to be on the All-Star team. I think it's just a super, super cool thing. And also another little super cool thing that we found out about. Mm-hmm. Instead of if the game ends in a tie, we all know about the debacle several years back, and Bud Selig was like, "Yeah, let's go into extra innings." Oh yeah, that's cool. In an exhibition game that really doesn't mean anything, they're gonna do a home run derby to determine the winner of the game. What do you think about that?
Boy, do I like that. So on the National League side, we get to see potentially, if it gets to a tie, we get to see Acuna again, we get to see Alonso again, and also Kyle Schwarber. And on the American League side, Ty France, Julio Rodriguez, who absolutely killed it. Around ever.
Slow down on the Ken Griffey comparisons, please. Let the man just breathe. Right. Let him play. Calm down.
And he, of course, will be up there with Kyle Tucker should there be a tie. So I love it. I think that is going to be so cool. I mean, I hope that it doesn't come to that. I hope it's just 9 innings and we're done here.
Right, yeah.
If it comes to it, this is so much better than just flat out extra innings.
Yes. Nobody wants to see more innings in or more extra innings in an exhibition game. I promise you that a lot of people will agree with that. No doubt about that. What I think a lot of people will agree with is Kirby Smart is a pretty good head coach, right? I think that's pretty safe to say. But I think that one thing that I thought was interesting in the SEC media days, Lane Kiffin was speaking to that presentation, as they're calling it for some reason. I don't know why they're calling that. All right, presentation. All right, I'm a head coach. I'm Lane Kiffin. That's me. That's a presentation, I guess. So anyway, I think that he referenced Kirby Smart when talking about, because a lot of times a lot of the questions are geared towards Alabama and Nick Saban for a lot of obvious reasons. The guy has a lot of national championships, and I think that when you think about college football coaches throughout the country and being referenced a lot, and I think it was kind of interesting that Lane Kiffin would reference Kirby Smart, and I know for me is he got his one national championship, but I think that when you start, I think you got to start to win multiple national champions in order to get into the embedded college football coaches, meaning Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney. Yeah. And I think that Kirby Smart might be on the precipice of being in those conversations, given that, we heard what we heard from Lane Kiffin yesterday.
Right. And I think what also helps that case is when you're consistently in the top 3, maybe the top 5 in a bad year for your recruiting classes, and the number of players you consistently put into the NFL as well. Mm-hmm. So I think he's right there on the cusp of being in that conversation. Even Eli Drinkwitz, the head coach for Missouri, referenced Kirby by way of Todd Monken in the tight ends room. But his reference was that Georgia is that great that nothing except a championship is what the expectation is for them. And when you get to that point where, like, legitimately, because I know Dogs fans before last year were still expecting a championship, but now it is a true expectation in the way that Tide fans and Clemson fans have the same expectation. It feels hitting different. It feels different. And I do believe that's why we're hearing more and more. Yes, you're still going to hear about Nick Saban. Yes, we will hear about Dabo Swinney come ACC media days, but you will continue to hear about Kirby Smart the rest of this week because he is becoming that guy.
No doubt about it. And I think that, Kirby, with what he's doing, I think the recruiting thing is huge. Like, he's real big on recruiting, and it's shown. Because, like you said, he's been in the top 3, top 5 recruiting classes for the last, 7 years since he's been there, seemingly, So I think that that's a thing that it really, really matters. And once you get them there, once you get those big boy recruiting class, you actually do something with them and develop them to get them to the point where they actually justify those rankings once you get them in the building. And I think he's done an excellent job of that as well. Now, I think T is something that happened today. The Atlanta Falcons rookies reported, wow, we are very, very close to actual football practice in pads. But there is a rookie running back by the name of Tyler Allgeier. We'll talk about whether or not that is the steal of the draft for the Atlanta Falcons 2022 draft class. We'll talk about why we feel that way or why not. Stick around. This is ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra, part of Locked On Sports.
Welcome back to ATL Day Ones. I am Tenitra, and that is Jarvis. We appreciate you guys for hanging with us once again. And as always, check out our podcast wherever you download the rest of your podcasts, and be sure to give us a 5-star review like you have been doing. We always appreciate that kind of support. And you know what else we appreciate here on ATL Day Ones? When we are one step closer to football, like real football, like pads on the players' football. And it is here because rookies have reported to Flowery Branch today. So, we started our conversation yesterday talking about some rookies who we might have our eyes on at training camp. And listen, we know Arthur Smith is going to have his eyes on some folks too, evaluating them to see who could potentially be a key player, whether that's on offense or defense for him. But interestingly enough, our friend to the show, Steve Weish, also he of NFL Network, was asked the question about the rookies and kind of who would make that impact. And he said, quote, "The Falcons have high expectations from this rookie class. Here's an offensive skill player who could start things up from day one." And he was talking about Tyler Allgeier. So my question to you, Jarvis, is this. It has been 6 years since a Falcons running back has cracked the 1,000-yard rushing mark for the season. So how important could Tyler Allgeier be to the success of this offense? And do you think he might be the steal of this draft for the Falcons?
I think he can be. I think it's set up for him to be, just from a skill set standpoint and a talent standpoint. And that's based off of who's in front of him. And I know a lot of people saying, well, he got Cordell Patterson in front of him. But let me explain something. Cordell Patterson is a guy that they don't want to use him too much, meaning they don't want to get him. They got a set number in their mind as far as touches per game. They probably won't admit to that, but just kind of looking at the games from last year, you just kind of understand that, okay, he was rushing the ball at 4 to 5 yards a carry on this in this particular game. We only had 10 carries. There's a reason why. Yes. Because, Cordell Patterson, no spring chicken. They want to be able to use him for the entire season. And I think that, you brought Mike Davis in last year to fill that gap, to get those touches and be potentially a guy that you can put in on the goal line to get those in short yardage situations. And I think that Tyler Allgeier is a guy who's going to be able to step in that role and fulfill it, because we know Mike Davis, he didn't do that well from a yards per carry standpoint. It wasn't there. Now, granted, offensive line issues, run blocking, all that stuff, yes. All that aside, I think there's still some consistency with Davis, and his production in that particular category has been prevalent throughout his career, and it showed last year, and it's the reason why the Falcons let him go. And I think that with Allgeier, though, I think he's going to be put in a lot of situations to be productive. It's just going to be a matter of him being able to make some people miss, and using that, that mindset, that linebacker mentality, which he played in college, to be able to attack the ball, attack that line of scrimmage, press the line of scrimmage, and be able to find the right hole so he can get up there and make some plays for Arthur Smith, because we know how important the running game is for him.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you guys, I have thoughts on Allgeier. I pretty much agree with Jarvis on that. But before I give you guys my thoughts on Allgeier, he'll give you his thoughts on BetOnline.
My thoughts on BetOnline is the #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all of the latest sports development, league reviews, and news, including this year's Major League Baseball All-Star Game is going down tonight. Go on to betonline.net and see what you can do. You can probably put some scratch-o on the All-Star MVP. We talked about Austin Riley being our favorite here on Locked On Sports Atlanta. Go and check that bad boy out and put some money down, and then give us a little kickback once you make some money. Now, BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports and events. You can throw MMA in there, even boxing. Go ahead and check out golf. Man, Cameron Smith absolutely killed it the other day. Yes. Man, you probably would have made a lot of money if you would have done that. But, head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about trends and action. They have podcasts and all that good stuff. All the information you need to be able to go ahead and make some money. Las Vegas not doing that, but betonline.net, they are doing it just for you. It is where the game starts.
Yes. And the Falcons think the game will be starting and maybe won or lost based on where they go with their run attack. And I want to just co-sign with what you said, what our boy Steve Weiss said as well. I do think it's Tyler Allgeier. I do think he could be the steal of the draft for the Falcons, and I do think it can pay big dividends for them because, again, when you look at the Falcons, a team that literally finished among the bottom 4 teams in all the key categories: rushing attempts, rushing yards, average yards per carry, rushing touchdowns. I mean, you name it, they finished bottom of the barrel.
Bottom team.
Like we always say, the only thing you can do is go up.
Right, that's it. You have to be better. You have no choice.
And you also made a great point about Cordero Patterson and the fact that he was limited in his touches out of the backfield. And that's because they also rely on him as a receiver, and low key here and there, they'll put him in special team situations as well. And towards the end of last season, they did kind of allude to the fact that they're going to monitor the number of touches he gets in every phase of the game because they needed him in every phase of the game, and probably will on some level again this year. And then with Allgeier, he's that guy who his record-breaking amount of rushing yards, boom, with 23 touchdowns. He led the FBS last season. So I'm going to be encouraged, Jarvis, that is at least in some way going to carry over into the league. We surely hope so. And you got to love the fact that in addition to CP, now you're going to have yourself a weapon in that backfield who is also a pass catcher in Allgeier. Right. So I like it, like the sneaky fast thing that he does. The only thing is he's a rookie. So you just hope that he's going to hold on to the ball and that he's going to be that guy who you can go to on 3rd and short to move those chains. But the other thing I wanted to ask you is this, Jarvis. When we talked yesterday, just kind of we've been doing a deep dive over the last few weeks in position groups. But I wondered, especially next week, the 26 will come and it'll be the entire team there. What one position group are you going to be looking at where you say, ooh, I can't wait to see what they're working with?
You know what? I know I said, me being a former defensive lineman, it would be easy for me to say, yeah, let me go to the edge versus defensive line, right? But You know what? I've been really excited about seeing. I really am looking forward to seeing the development of Richie Grant and Jalen Hawkins, because I believe if those guys are out there starting, I think Falcons fans need to watch out, because these guys are some playmakers. Hawkins is a guy, he's going to bring that hat. He don't mind mixing it up, and he has a knack for the ball, and we already know what Richie Grant, well, I know what Richie Grant, brings to the table from a ball hawking standpoint. I know a lot of people are like, well, we didn't see none of that, but, but he has some struggles with some issues getting on the field. It's coming. Be aware, because if those guys are on there day one against the New Orleans Saints on September 11th, my goodness, y'all better watch out, because those guys they thirsty for the rock, and I think that they're going to actually do exactly what they need to do. So that safety group for me is something that I'm definitely going to have. I can't wait to see what those guys' development looks like.
Oh, yeah. And I like that example that you gave, because, they're going to get a test right out of the gates where you're talking about Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, and really just that whole wide receiver room for the Saints. They've really gone in.
They're loaded. They are loaded over there. Ross Jackson told us that.
Right. Yeah, they're giving Jameis Winston some toys to work with.
Indeed.
In the receiving core. So, that whole secondary for the Falcons is definitely a group you want to see what they're working with, because they're going to get a test right out of the gates. But I'm going to go back to adding to Tyler Allgeier being a sneaky good grab for the Falcons. And I'm going to be watching that entire running back room, because I think that there are some intriguing pieces there. Damian Williams, what does he have left in the tank? I think that is a huge question mark that's going to be answered, hopefully, as we see him progress through training camp. Also, we've still got questions, Jarvis, that we've had for years about Kadri Allison. I mean, first of all, we don't even know if the team will keep him.
I ain't asking no questions. I know where he is. Sorry. My bad.
Be nice, Jarvis.
I'm sorry.
But I understand why. You're saying that. But now we're 2 years in to the Arthur Smith regime, and now we can really see this can be like it is for other players in other position groups that shall remain nameless.
Yes.
This will be a make or break season for many guys, and for Q, this is probably the make or break for him. So I'm going to be looking to see, okay, just what is the depth in this running back core? Let's just see what it is. But where we know that there won't be any issues, and we are very excited about what they're going to, all eyes have been on them since last year's draft, and now adding this year's draft. It's the wide receiver / tight end room and what they're going to be doing. But we think they're good. We even think some of them are great, but apparently not everybody feels the same about how we feel about Kyle Pitts. We'll talk about it on the other side in For the Culture.
Final segment of ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra. I'm up here looking like I'm about to go work out. Sorry. It's T, I don't know about you, but it seems like sometimes with me, I kind of get, and you've been around me for a while, I just get really comfortable with what I put on. Right. Meaning sometimes I may look like a homeless man, but I think I might be really close today. I got my little workout shirt on. And amazingly, I really wore this today.
Right. And I'm always thinking man, listen, I can't look like that. I can't look like I'm about to go to the gym, because I'm always every other day I'm headed to the gym. Just can't look like it when I'm on air. On our show, right?
Indeed. There are a lot of people checking us out here. We appreciate you checking us out on your podcast daily. Remember, we're free and available wherever you download your podcast, and wherever you download your podcast, make sure you leave us a 5-star review. You can check me out and look like I don't make any money for a living, and I'm just coming on the show and just talking about sports. But yeah, I appreciate that. Let me know. I don't mind, having a conversation about it. That's just how I get down. That's just how we are. But T, it is For the Culture. It is the intersection between sports, entertainment, and the culture, and sometimes whatever the heck we want to talk about, because that's just how we get down on here. We do what we want to do, and we hope you enjoy it. If you don't, keep coming. You'll eventually, you're like something that we're going to do. You're going to like something at some point, at some time. Or otherwise, you're just a old fogey, and you just don't like life. But we know you're not that. I am running my mouth today. Okay, anyway. So, T, Kyle Pitts, Madden is like a really big deal for a lot of people. And it used to be a really big deal for me because we used to host a Madden night. Me and my boys used to get together, and we used to we used to buy the game, at midnight. Then we'll play all night and everything. We'll take days off of work and all that stuff. Yeah, that sounds really cool, right? Yeah, we don't do none of that crap anymore. Like wives, that stuff just not going down that way. But the ratings came out, and Kyle Pitts, overall pretty solid. I think he's an 81 overall.
Yes.
But there's his release rating was a little kind of a little shaky.
Right.
It was a different color. You know how all the ratings were green, and then that one was a little orangish, almost reddish a little bit. It was like, wait a minute. So came across a video of Kyle Pitts going up against Chad Ochocinco, and it made it where he had released so quickly that Chad was just like, wait a minute, we had a rep already? I thought we haven't even started yet. And I think it was pretty cool that how Madden kind of plays to those things because, football players, most of the time, most of the stuff don't bother them. But, it's kind of funny to see grown men complaining about their ratings on a video game.
Yeah, exactly. And we have seen that like over and over again.
Every year it happens.
It can be veterans. Like, don't just think it's the young guys. We've seen veterans fall out about their ratings. But yeah, that video was absolutely hilarious. And it's funny because it's Kyle Pitts. And everybody knows Kyle Pitts to be a kind of quiet guy, if you will, not really talkative unless he wants to talk, because he talks to me all the time. But if he wants to talk,
she ain't lying.
Yeah, exactly. But he's got a little, sense of humor about him as well. But I don't think it's on display nearly as much as people would want it to be. So I love that video so people can see the other side of Kyle Pitts. And low-key, I hope that might be motivation for him to show Madden all of what they missed out on. Show it on the field this coming season.
No doubt about it. Like, we're definitely looking for a lot of production from a Mr. Kyle Pitts, specifically in the red zone. Not that I'm implying anything. But speaking of somebody that's not going to be implying anything, Tenitra, tell the people about Coffee AM and what they got going on. It started me off. I got off to a really good start today with Coffee AM. Tell the folks some more information so they can dive into it as well.
Yeah, it looks like Kyle Pitts may have had a cup of coffee AM before he got that release video going. But anyway, as always here in Atlanta, and listen, maybe he did because why? It's an Atlanta-based company, so he could very well have
right up the street.
the small batch coffee roaster in this country, the best one, Coffee AM. So you hear us talk about it all the time. Freshness, that's something that's really important. I mean, you want your coffee to be fresh, and if it's shipped to you, you don't want it to taste like it's days old, right? You want it to taste like Coffee AM's does, that it's been roasted either that same day or not far from it when you place your order. And you're talking about current crop specialty grade coffee that has really been shipped in from all over the world. We're talking about direct trade. We're talking about fair trade, organic, whatever it is that floats your boat, they actually have the products for you. So you can go to coffeeam.com/lockedon today. Take a look at that full menu because, again, it's not just about coffees, it's about teas and even really cool gift sets that you can give friends and family. And if you go there and you go to coffeeam.com/lockedon, if you use that URL, then you can plug in the coupon code LOCKEDON at checkout. That means 15% off for you, which is a good look on your first order, again, of coffees, teas, or gift sets. I'll give it to you one more time so that you don't forget. coffeeam.com/backlash for the best small batch coffee roaster in the country.
Go check it out. One thing that before we get out of here though, T, I gotta talk about this dude, right? There's this dude. He was in Menominee, Washington, Wisconsin, and he came up with this bright idea to try to rob a jewelry store. Now, looking at the video, the man walks into the jewelry store, T. Kind of all casual, got his sunglasses on, dark shades or something. I guess he's trying to be discreet. And he goes into his pocket. Once he gets up to the little display glass, he pulls out a brick and tries to break the glass with the brick, but couldn't break the glass with the brick. And like he hit it multiple times. I was like, dude, like, do you not weigh? How much do you weigh? 100 pounds? Like, why are you not breaking this glass with a whole brick in your hand? I just didn't get it. So after the failed attempts, there was an employee ended up running them out of the store, and she was just as small as he was, and I don't even know what she had in her hand. It looked like she had like a rope or something, like she was gonna tie him up or something and call the police. But it just seemed like he's just, I'm not saying I'm a professional criminal or anything like that, but I know for a fact that I probably would have came up with a better idea than that to try to go get some jewelry.
Yeah, that was straight out of the dumb criminals file, and somebody who literally, it seems
the biggest one.
Yeah, like he was just walking down the street haphazardly and said, "Wow, I'd like to rob this jewelry store." And oh, wait a minute, there's a brick on the ground. Let's see if that'll work for me. I mean, that's literally how you felt when you watched that video. Like, this man did not give this any thought. He literally just said, "La la la, do do do." Oh, okay, I'll just rob this jewelry store. Dumb and Dumber. That's all we can say. But hopefully, we're going to see some smart play tonight for the All-Star game. Excited to see all of these Braves lighted up, hopefully, for the National League and get themselves a win tonight. Of course, we're going to talk about that. We'll also talk about SEC Media Days. We know Alabama was represented today. Georgia will take the podium tomorrow, so I'm sure there will be more about that to talk about. And who knows, anything else happening in the sports world at ATL, we'll tell you about it here on ATL Day One's your first stop on the Locked On Sports Atlanta network. And of course, make your second stop A to Z with Mark Zeno. So appreciate you guys stopping by again today. We'll see you tomorrow.
Y'all come back now, you hear?